Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The second half just underway here inside Bill Greehey Arena. Brian Maglio on alongside Joe Rodriguez. Thank you for joining us. And just as we got back on the air, Desi Elias comes up with a three-point field goal as Morgan Pullins swats that shot away. And Rattlers off to the races. Pullins, count it, plus the foul. Morgan Pullins doing it on both ends of the floor. First the block, and then the lay-in with a chance for a three-point play. Action in the first 40 seconds of the half already for the Rattlers.
And I like the heads-up awareness out of Pullins there, knowing that it was Durbridge back, and Durbridge has been trying to take charges all day. Morgan evading, good job finishing.
Morgan back rims the free throw, almost comes up with a rebound, and it looks like the foul will be called on Morgan. A bit too aggressive on that rebound attempt. 33-24. We've played less than a minute here in the second half. And the story of the first half for either team, first off for St. Edwards, Lloyd Drake just destroying the Rattlers. She has 14 points to lead all scorers to go along with 4 rebounds. What do you think the Rattlers should do in the second half to limit Lloyd Drake's effectiveness?
Well, I think that so far they've done a pretty solid job on her, to be honest. I mean, whenever they have had Lil Jon on her, and they've done a good job of defending. I think the main thing that they have to realize, Lloyd Drake, she's a great scorer. She's going to get hers. But the thing that you cannot allow is for Lloyd Drake to create for others as well. If Lloyd Drake ends up with around her average amount of points, but not with her average amount of assists or rebounds or steals, then I think that you've done a pretty good job against a good scorer like her.
And so far, Lloyd Drake with 0 assists has done it predominantly herself with 14 points. As St. Edwards now working the ball around, and the before-mentioned Lloyd Drake now with the ball. Stops, pops from the free throw line, well short. Good contest there by Kyra Littlejohn. As for St. Mary's, Joe, what do they need to do to maintain this lead and come away with the victory here this afternoon?
Well, the easiest way for St. Mary's to extend their lead and to really run away with this ball game is to take care of the basketball. They had 14 turnovers as that three-pointer is knocked down by Marquez. They had those 14 turnovers in the first half. That's really crippling. St. Edwards, they're going to have to do the same. They had 11 turnovers of their own as we now see the largest lead of the day.
The shot is launched and good by Fothery. And that cuts the Rattler lead down to 10. It ballooned to 12 as Mark is having trouble getting the ball inbounds, and Elias able to break the press. Littlejohn called for steps as she tried to get the pass off to Pullins, but took too many steps before she could get the ball off, as possession will go back to the Hilltoppers. 17:40 remaining in this one.
And St. Mary's are doing a good job of breaking that press and getting their 3-on-2s. They just haven't been able to convert twice now.
Fothery diving for the loose ball, and a timeout is called by St. Edwards as they are able to keep possession of the ball. So a full timeout is called on the court. 17:28 left to play in this one. We will take a quick break, but stay tuned. More Rattler basketball right after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. 36-26, Rattlers with a 10-point lead over the Hilltoppers. Brian Maglio joined alongside the one and only Joe Rodriguez, bringing you Rattler basketball action right here on the Rattler Network, as a 30-second shot clock violation is called as St. Edward's lost track of the shot clock, as St. Mary's ends up with possession.
Yeah, truthfully, I lost track of the shot clock as well, because I figured that they had plenty of time coming out of timeout, but that's right, it happened in the middle of the possession because of the loose ball. As we see Etheridge being held down low, and they're going to get a foul. That's on Thomas. That's her third. She did a good job of playing with 2 fouls for the majority of that second half. She picked up those 2 fouls in a quick 4 minutes, but now she's going to have to head out of play, as it will be Catalytic replacing her.
Inbounds to Elias. Driving left, forces one up, no good. Marquez nearly comes up with it. And last touch by the Hilltoppers. St. Mary's has 25 left on the shot clock. Into Etheridge. Etheridge driving in, left-hander, no good. And the rebound to St. Edward's as Lloyd Drake brings the ball up, swings it over to Fothery. Stops, pops, good.
And Fothery, one of those players, she's had a bit of a slow game by her standards. She usually averages around that 15-point per a game mark, but currently at 6.
Elias swings it over to Marquez at the top of the key. Keelani gets it over to Little John over on the left side, gets a pick from Etheridge. Little John crosses over, tried to get it down to pull into his open, but could not thread the needle. And a shot is forced up there by Durbridge, who is sandwiched by 2 Rattlers. No foul is called. Etheridge looking, step through, beautiful finish by Kiara Etheridge.
And something I've noticed that Etheridge has really started to improve on is she started to realize her mismatched strengths. She's a big that plays with guard skills, so against other bigs, she's going to have that bit of speed advantage. Against the guard, she's going to have her height advantage, and she's learning how to take advantage of both of those in particular skill sets that she has.
Lloyd Drake has 7 to work with, kicks it out. Mid-range jumper is no good. Tussle for the ball. And jump ball will end up in the hands of St. Edward's, as we have a media timeout on the floor. 15:23 left to play. Rattlers up by 10. .23 left to play in this one. Rattlers up by 10. Inbounds over to Lloyd Drake. She swings it over to Fothery, who drives hard to the basket, unable to finish. Etheridge comes up with the board, and Kiara will bring it up herself. Kiara has plenty of space to work with, could have taken it to the basket. Instead, hands it off to Little John, who's guarded by Lloyd Drake. 14 on the shot clock. Littlejohn spots up for three, no good. And the rebound by Durbridge. And the Rattler contingency calling for a traveling on Durbridge. Looked like she got away with a couple steps, and in the first half, couple traveling calls were called on St. Mary's. Couple controversial, a couple good calls, but I don't think a travel has been called yet on St. Edward's. And we saw that towards the end of the first half as, Etheridge was wide open under the basket. Marquez tried to find her. Oh, beautiful pass by Pullins as Littlejohn cut to the basket. Rattlers up by 12.
And for a player that averages so many points, it's impressive whenever we see Pullins still with that awareness to find her teammates for the even easier baskets. That's two that she's had today, and just easy baskets. I think both times Littlejohn has been the beneficiary.
And both on similar plays as St. Mary's nearly comes up with the ball. Scramble now as the three is launched. No good. Desi Elias rips the rebound down as she looks to push. Marquez driving all the way in, scoops, gets hit as she draws the foul. It looks like it will be called. It'll be called on Brisbane. Initially, I thought it would have been Fothery, but Brisbane called for the personal foul. That is her second personal foul of the afternoon as Marquez hits the first.
And Marquez, she's really started to come into her own. She's averaging 4.5 points per game, 2.1 assists to go along with 2.6 rebounds. Those might not be numbers that absolutely jump off the page, but she's such a glue player for this team. She's able to make a lot of things work with her hustle plays.
And Marquez, as you mentioned, those numbers not really eye-popping numbers, but the way that she's able to affect the ball game just by her presence on the floor, great defensive presence as Pullins nearly comes away with the steal. And the official says it was last touch by Morgan. But back to Marquez, just the way that she's able to mesh well with this Rattler team, her freshman year fitting into that starting role, really impressive by this young freshman who is now on the bench getting a quick breather as Lloyd Drake elevates over Littlejohn and she's able to hit. Lloyd Drake now with 16 points.
Yeah, and the thing about Marquez as well is that she can just play defense. And anytime that you have a player who can play defense on your team, there's going to be some way, somehow, that they're going to find their way on the floor. As Etheridge gets another bucket for this Rattler team, she now leads all Rattlers with 13 points.
Etheridge with 13, Pullins with 11. Morgan Pullins one rebound away from yet another double-double as that jumper is good. Foot was on the line. Count it for Durbridge.
Elias triple teamed.
Scrambles, ends up with the ball somehow. Desi, no look over to Pullins, who hits, plus the foul.
Desi all kinds of fired up after coming away with that one. The ball security drills coming in for the Rattlers.
Elias was being swarmed at one point. It looked like she wasn't even going to end up with a ball. Triple teamed in the backcourt, somehow ends up with it as Pullins unable to convert on the three-point play, and we just saw it on the replay here. Just exciting basketball to watch. Just breathtaking and really giving myself a near heart attack right there every time we see as Littlejohn ends up with the loose ball. Littlejohn has one man to beat. Kyra draws the foul as she hits the deck hard. Clark called with the personal. Good job by Kyra, able to draw the foul.
And we see right there, hustle begets hustle. When one player makes a great hustle play, the next thing you know, everyone's hustling and making those great plays. And it's coming at a great time for St. Mary's as they're trying to push their lead now at 14, which is their biggest advantage of the game. As Kyra misses that first free throw.
And the way the Rattlers have been playing so far, it makes their sluggish start in the first half more like a distant memory as they have opened up this 14-point lead, and Littlejohn unable to convert on both free throws.
We see Tro a little bit too aggressive. So it looked like she got caught with her left hand in there as we're underneath the 12-minute mark. Our second media timeout. We'll go ahead, step aside as well as you're watching women's basketball on the Rattler Network. Three-pointer for the win.
Great in-game promotion there. Always a fun time when you're here at Bill Greehey Arena, especially on game day. Rattler fans, if you are in the area, there's still time to make it because right after this one, we have the men take the floor as the three-pointer is launched and good by Katie Boren. The 5'6" sophomore from Lubbock, Texas, able to sink as Pullins fades, misses. Two Rattlers with the ball, and things will get slowed down just a bit.
Shot clock did not reset, but they're going to get Troel for an offensive foul either way.
46-35 is the score.
I like the call by the Hilltoppers out of the timeout, by the way. They had a set play, well, they probably had ran in practice over and over and over again, and they got a three ball out of it. And now a chance to cut it to single digits.
Oh, Littlejohn.
She really is having a great game hustling. And I think that she might have had this one circled on her calendar going up against Lloyd Drake. I mean, these two played each other last year as well. So I'm sure Kyra was excited about the matchup.
The three is launched, no good. Rebound in the hands of the Hilltoppers as Thomas runs the offense, picks up her dribble. 19 left on the shot clock, plenty of time for Lloyd Drake to work. Kicks it out, and a bad pass as it was intended for Thomas in the corner. As Elias brings it in, now Littlejohn. Kyra going in hard against Lloyd Drake. Brings it back out, gets a pick from Troel. Littlejohn swings it over to Etheridge. Etheridge. Over to Pullins. Mid-range jumper, short. Pullins tried to get around the box out. Well done there by Jolly, and now Hilltoppers could cut this deficit to single digits. Unfortunately, a traveling is called on Boren. And St. Mary's now with possession. Rattler fans, we invite you to join the discussion. You can follow us on all platforms of social media. under the handle at St. Mary's Rattlers for both Twitter and Instagram. As you can post that one. Elias finding Pullins down low. Beautiful play there by the Rattlers. You can also like us on Facebook, facebook.com/St. Mary's Rattlers, as Etheridge frustrated with herself as she loses the ball out of bounds. Coach Martin's telling her to grab the ball and maintain possession.
And right there, if you're Etheridge, if they're pressuring you in the backcourt, do not go to those sidelines. You're going to get yourself in a bit of trouble if that's the way you go. It's basically like an extra defender as the Rattlers commit a foul there. And going to the line for two will be Clark.
And we mentioned this last game, the keys to breaking a press. You mentioned one of the keys is not to get trapped in a corner, because teams that normally utilize the press like to use the baselines and sidelines as, in essence, an extra defender.
Yeah, the thing is, if you get caught going towards it, it's just applying even more and more pressure to you as a player. Because the thing that you have to realize is you cannot make a dribbling mistake on that sideline. If you're trying to break the press, the way to do it is with short, concise passes followed by good dribbling in the middle of the floor by your great ball handlers.
10:07 left to play in this one. Rattlers up by 11. We'll take a short break, but stay tuned. More upcoming right after this.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. 10:05 remaining in half number two. Rattlers still with that 11 point advantage as Elias bringing the ball on up the floor.
And that's why we're not math majors, partner. Elias now with the ball, gets a pick from Troell, stops, pops, no good. Battle for the ball. It looked like Etheridge and Troell were going at it at the same time. Fortunately, it was last touched by the Hilltoppers. Marquez to trigger the inbounds. Elias thought about the three. Instead, will settle things. 25 left on the shot clock, plenty of time. Etheridge gets it over to Desi, thought about the three. Desi, hesitation, bounces around, and it ends up in the hands of Thomas, who nearly gets it poked away by Elias, tipped around, and last touch by the Hilltoppers as St. Mary's will end up with the ball.
Now with us just underneath the halfway mark in this second half, I want to bring up the point that I made going into the second half, that St. Mary's needs to take care of the ball. They had 17 turnovers in that first half. So far in the second half, only 2. And you can see the margin growing with that statistic.
Elias thought about the three. Now over to Marquez. Keelani. Oh, finds Pullins. What a find as Pullins is fouled by Durbridge. And St. Mary's doing a terrific job of just finding the open man, and Morgan Pullins obviously the focal point of this St. Edward's defensive strategy, and still Morgan's able to find little pockets where she could get the ball, and her teammates are finding her.
Yeah, and the thing is, Morgan is doing a good job of just taking what the defense is giving to her. We've seen her take a couple of jumpers that have been open, and then the rest of it has been a majority of layups. And then she's also done a pretty good job of creating for her teammates as well, as she has 3 blocks, 2 steals, and 2 assists on this game to fill out the stat sheet. Just still 1 rebound off from that double-double.
Cross-court pass over to Zone defense being played by the Hilltoppers. Trowell called for steps. And the referees have been real stingy with the traveling calls. Rattlers have been called for several in this ball game, as the Hilltoppers have several substitutions enter the ball game.
I think that might be the 5th travel call we've seen this game on the Rattlers, somewhere around that vicinity, which is uncharacteristic, as Elias pokes that one away, but last touch by her with 8:20 to go here in the second half.
Elias was guarding Thomas, and now ball kicked out over to Lloyd Drake, met by Little John. Lloyd Drake over to Fothery, and a personal foul is called before the shot, and it'll be called on Mo Pullins. That is her 3rd personal foul. 6th team foul for the Rattlers, both teams with 6 team fouls, as Pullins will head out. Lloyd Drake getting instructions from the bench. Fothery driving in, kicks it out to Thomas in the corner. Thomas threading the needle. Fothery steps into a jumper well short of the mark, and Elias will bring it up. "13-point lead for the St. Mary's Rattlers." Elias thought about the 3, gets it over to Marquez, takes the pick from Trowell as Elias driving in, nearly gets the basket to fall, but she'll head to the line to shoot 2 free throws as Thomas is called on the foul.
That's her 4th, so she's 1 away from being out of the game. As we're underneath the 8-minute mark, so immediate timeout called here on the floor.
And with that, we bring back one and only Ruben Dominguez, who's been on the floor. Let's get our mic set up here. Ruben, what have you seen so far in the second half from the Rattlers that has enabled them to increase their lead to 13?
Well, Brian, we see that they started out the second half fast, and they got up really early, got into a double-digit lead, and they haven't looked back since. They kept the momentum from the end of the first half, and unlike the first half, they started well early, and I think that's really helped their cause.
And then Ruben, I asked you the same question in the first, but it still seems relevant. St. Mary's, what do they need to do in order to keep this lead and to finish out the second half with a victory? Do you think that they're going to keep up with that fast-paced tempo, or do you see them slowing it down and playing with the lead a little bit more?
Well, Joe, I think the change has been they've done a really good job of not turning over the ball. So I think if they continue doing that, they'll be just fine in the second half.
Well, thanks for joining us once again, Ruben. Always great insight. 50-37 is the score here. St. Mary's leading the Hilltoppers with 7.5 minutes left to play in this one, as Desi Elias heads to the line to shoot 2 free throws. Elias back rim on the first.
A little bit flat there out of Desi. And then Ruben, along with coming up and doing work in the booth for us today, I believe he's live tweeting for us as well from our Twitter account at St. Mary's Rattlers. So if you want to keep up with all the action, and go ahead and give us a follow on at St. Mary's Rattlers to keep up with the game.
And you'll be seeing more of Ruben as well, as we have a fun little project going on, as Pullins nearly gets that to fall as she draws the foul. Fun little project we're working on, actually, so be on the lookout for that. That's RattlerAthletics.com as Mo Pullins heads to the line for 2 free throws.
And you mentioned that fun little project. Do we have any date that we're willing to announce on that quite yet, or not quite yet?
Not quite yet. It's under wraps for now, but
very soon future.
A very near future indeed, as Mo Pullins able to put an end to the Rattlers' free throw drought. I believe that was 3 consecutive free throws missed until that final one was put in by Morgan. Fothery met by Etheridge. Good defense by Etheridge as the free throw line jumper falls through for St. Edwards. That was Durbridge who was able to sink it, and now the lead down to 11. St. Edwards trying to make a run here as Etheridge wide open, gets the kind bounce as she matches Durbridge's basket on the opposite end of the floor.
15 now for Key. She's having herself a very nice game as the Rattler bigs really getting it done on the offensive end and on the defensive end as well. They both have blocks to their name this game.
And with that rebound, Morgan Pullins has her double-double. She has 18 points and now 10 rebounds as St. Mary's still working as Etheridge working down low. Beautifully done.
Yeah, and you mentioned the rebounding. St. Mary's plus 11 in the rebounding department, and they've only allowed 5 offensive boards this game, so another reason why the Rattlers have really taken this game by the horns.
And offensive rebounding is what allowed UTPB this past Thursday to get back into the game against St. Mary's. As he mentioned here this afternoon, doing a terrific job of limiting St. Edward's second chance opportunities as the first free throw attempt by Durbridge is no good, and Morgan Pullins grabs her 11th board of the afternoon. Less than 6 minutes left now to play. Littlejohn gets a pick from Pullins. Over to Elias, looking for Morgan. She'll come back up to set a pick. Elias doesn't take the pick, instead settles for a jumper, no good, and Etheridge battling for the board as she stepped out of bounds. Coach Martins, however, pleased with the effort here, and Etheridge on a quest for her own double-double. She is 1 rebound shy with 17 points and 9 rebounds. And aside from Etheridge and Pullins, while we're on the topic of rebounding, the next player with the next highest total on this Rattler squad is the smallest player on the court, Desi Elias. She has 6 rebounds to go along with 7 points. Good
box out there by the Rattlers. And I think there's going to be a push called there on Fothery, and Mo Pullins will head to the free throw line for the 1-and-1.
Both teams in the bonus, the final 5:15, and one more foul charged against St. Edwards will result in a double bonus for the St. Mary's Rattlers.
The Rattlers really turning it up offensively in this second half. They scored 28 in the entirety of the first half, and now they're at 27 already in the second half with just over 5 minutes remaining. They've really started to figure things out and get efficient on that offensive end. That one put up, rejected by Etheridge, and the scramble for the ball ends up with Littlejohn, and another foul called, and now it'll be Littlejohn heading to the free throw line.
Great hustle there by Etheridge as she was able to get the block but corral the board as well. And now it'll be Littlejohn to the free throw line to shoot 2. Littlejohn sinks the first, extending the Rattler lead to 56-39, and Littlejohn ends up with her own miss, spinning, trying to find Pullins. Ball bounces around, and Littlejohn sneaking from behind, picked the pocket of Fothery, and St. Mary's with possession yet again.
It feels like the Rattlers have won every single loose ball this game or had a jump ball.
Oh, what a find. Pullins unable to hit. Morgan with another board, but it is ripped out of there by Thomas.
If you're Mo, after you get that board, you got to keep holding it high. That way players and sneaky guards like Thomas can't come away with it.
Lloyd Drake, hard drive to the basket, unable to hit as Marquez comes up with the board.
And the Rattlers, they've significantly improved on Lloyd Drake in this second half. She's now just 7 of 16 from the field this game. As Pullins another board, she goes up off the spin.
Elias comes up with the board, and as you mentioned, partner, St. Mary's seems to be coming away with every loose ball. They're getting second and third chance opportunities as Littlejohn took exception to that hard foul. And that foul was called on Lloyd Drake. That is her second personal foul. 56-39 is the score. We will take a quick break, but stay tuned. More upcoming right after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. 3:47 left to play in this one. St. Mary's in firm control, leading against St. Edwards by 17. Kyra Littlejohn to the line to shoot 2.
And I have to say, Brian, what a week for this Rattler team. I mean, first off, they beat out University of Texas Permian Basin in a thriller. The team that is currently residing in 4th place in the Heartland Conference. And then St. Edwards coming into the Rattlers' house, and it looks like, if this holds true, 15 points with an offensive board and a putback. That's just great length and skill by Pullins, and that's been the kind of season she's having. But if the Rattlers able to pull this one out, St. Edwards would fall to 5-2 in conference play. The Rattlers, meanwhile, would rise to 5-3. And while they're still on that bubble, they have a very good shot of being in that top 4 in the Heartland Conference, which is what they need to do in order to get into that tournament.
And we are interested in seeing how the Rattlers would respond after dropping 2 games on the road. But there's nothing like home cooking here inside Bill Greehey Arena, as the Rattlers look to be well on their way to their 7th consecutive home victory of the season. 7 on the shot clock. Etheridge pull-up jumper is good. And when it's going your way, it is going your way. St. Mary's now up by 21.
And you could tell Etheridge felt good about that one. She was holding her follow through and probably was willing to hold it for the rest of the day unless she had to play defense, which unfortunately she had to.
St. Mary's just clicking on all cylinders. Elias out of the game as Vargas checks in, and it looks like we will have seen the last of Desi Elias here this afternoon. Stellar game, 7 points to go along with 5 assists and 7 rebounds.
And those 2 steals, just a classic Desi being pesky day for her. And really, the thing the stats don't tell us about the hustle plays that she made that kind of ignited this Rattler team and really got them going in the second half. 21 points, the advantage, the biggest of the day.
Spin move, and the foul is called. It'll be on Morgan Pullins, as Clark was able to draw the foul. And that is Pullins' 4th personal foul. First free throw is up and good. And a pair of substitutions, Marquez and Pullins will check out.
Aquina and LaGrande into the game.
And the second free throw is good, cutting the lead down to 19. Rattlers clearing the floor of their starters. The only starter left on the floor is Etheridge, who has the ball, guarded by Thomas. Over to Vargas. 14 left on the shot clock.
Etheridge did end up getting her double-double, by the way. She's at 19 and 11 now.
5 on the clock. Etheridge kicks out. LeGrand for 3. And she stepped out of bounds. Ball will go to the Hilltoppers, and Jade Brady will check in, and it looks like it'll be for Kiara Etheridge. So all the Rattlers starters now on the bench, as Coach Jason Martins has cleared the bench. An impressive victory from the St. Mary's Rattlers.
Good D
tough
there by
spin
Aquina.
move, and Aquina, tough D indeed. And a foul is called. Jade Brady will head to the free throw line. Brady at the line to shoot 2. First free throw tickles the twine. And partner, as we look ahead to the Rattlers' schedule, they will have one more home game against Texas A&M International. It'll be on January 22nd, I believe this coming Thursday. It'll be here at Bill Greehey Arena. Start time scheduled for 5:30. You could catch that game right here on the Rattler Network.
That one, another all-important Heartland Conference game, as we're really only now starting to get into those ever so important Heartland Conference matchups. So we now see Vargas and Troel heading out of the game. And it'll be Briseño coming in. This one put up for 3.
Briseño and Brianna Bustamante see their first action of this ball game, as Rattlers will maintain possession. St. Edwards will drop to 5-2 in the Heartland Conference. And Julia Ewelefo is into the ball game for the first time. Ewelefo has been battling injuries. Good to see her back on the floor for the Rattlers for this final minute.
Yep, I believe this is her season debut.
And a jump ball is called, as Briseño was trapped in a corner. Fortunately for the Rattlers, the possession arrow points in their favor.
.40 seconds remaining, as Rattlers looking to put
what a shot there. And Briseño gets on the score sheet with an impressive floater from the baseline, a la Derrick Rose, as a foul is called against the Rattlers. Keena called for the personal foul as Jolly will head to the line.
And that bucket, the first bucket that Briseño's had inside of beautiful Bill Greehey Arena. An exciting moment for her, I'm sure.
St. Mary's will improve to 11-5 on the season. 5-3 in the Heartland Conference as they inch up closer to the top of the standings. St. Edward's #1 so far in the conference as Akina is able to get the pass. Owolefo over to Bustamante, who is called for stepping out of bounds. 13.1 left to play. Rattler fans, stay tuned. We will have our post-game interview with head coach Jason Martins, who should be in quite a happy mood after an impressive showing from his St. Mary's Rattlers. 3.9 seconds left. Rattlers can dribble it out. And this round goes to the Rattlers in the Battle of the Saints as they take this one by a final of 63-44. So we'll take a quick break. Coach Jason Martins will join us in just a moment. And we are back. We are now joined by Coach Jason Martins. Coach, congratulations on an impressive victory, beating St. Edward 63-44. What can you say about your team's performance? You guys started off a little slow in the first half, but you really picked it up towards the end of the game.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I think the first 4 or 5 minutes was on me. I mean, I got these girls so amped up to start the game, knowing how important this was, that it just took us a little while to settle in. And then once we settled in, we started executing the game plan. And I tell you what, we did a great job defensively because they're a really good offensive team. And, I mean, you can't say enough about our defensive effort tonight.
And both Morgan Pullins and Kiara Etheridge recording double-doubles. What can you say about their impact on this basketball team and on the game itself?
Oh, I mean, those two are just tremendous players. I mean, they can rebound, they can score. I mean, they just do it all for us, and it's fun to watch them play when they're playing at their best.
And Coach, this game, a special game because Operation Drive to the Basket, where we honor some of our military veterans. What can you say about this event and how much it means to this school?
No, I mean, it's a great event. I know our men started a few years ago, and then for us to be a part of it this year is just, you know, even more special. You know, we have 2 active military former players of ours, Juanita Merchant and Felicia Jacobs. They're both, they're both out there right now serving our country, and couldn't be more proud of them and what they do for our country. And so for us to be a part of that, Felicia's parents were here today, so it's great to see them. And those two are just so important to our program, and it's good to honor them today.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Coach. Congratulations once again on the win. Rattlers win 63-44. We'll be right back with our final thoughts after this. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are minutes away from tip-off here at Bill Greehey Arena for the men's game. But before we do that, final thoughts on the women's game as St. Mary's winning in convincing fashion, 63-44 over St. Edwards. Joe, your thoughts on this impressive victory which saw all the Rattler players see the floor?
Well, I have to say they did a beautiful job of taking care of the ball in that second half. When you take care of the ball like the Rattlers did in that second half, it's tough to be beat. And then the dominating aspect of things. You mentioned it to Coach Martins, his Twin Towers in the San Antonio area. They ended up as a team doubling up the Hilltoppers on the board, 48-24. When you're able to take care of the ball and save your possessions and take away other possessions from the other team, it's going to be a good day at the office.
Well, that'll do it for us here at Bill Greehey Arena, but stay tuned. We'll be right back in just a few minutes to call St. Mary's versus St. Edwards, the men getting prepped for this Battle of the Saints here on the Rattler Network.